ABBA, Björk, Robyn, The Knife, Sigur Rós, The Cardigans, Aqua. The contributions of the Nordic countries to the history of music are undeniable. Many of these artists have left an indelible mark and influenced many who came after them. But the region has a lot more to offer, and in this video I will show you 10 Nordic artists that I think you should know, and I will recommend one album from each of them. And as always, I will show you the vinyl editions for all of these albums. Welcome to the Unsleever. I have wanted to do this video for a long time, and if you've been following my channel, you have definitely seen me say it.
Say it!
So it's finally time to show you 10 albums from Nordic artists that I think are incredible in their own right. So stick around to find out my terrible pronunciation of these languages. Even though I cannot use original music on this video, I hope you discover some artists to love. I have made a playlist that I'm sharing in the description of this video with songs from all of them. And if you're new here, welcome. I do music documentaries and vinyl unboxings and reviews. Check out my other videos and subscribe if you haven't yet. The first artist on my list is one of my all-time favorites. It's an artist of an unpronounceable name with an impressive and unique body of work behind them, all produced independently. I'm talking about iamamiwhoami. They are a Swedish duo that went viral in 2009 after a series of cryptic videos were uploaded to YouTube. This was the peak of music bloggers, and many of them took notice of these mysterious videos. There was a lot of speculation about who could be behind them, from Fever Ray to Goldfrapp and even Christina Aguilera. Their project was always deeply connected to a visual concept that unfolded before our eyes with weekly uploads. Eventually, it was discovered that the people behind this were Jonna Lee and Claes Björklund. The pair's songwriting-producing partnership was already a reality in Jonna Lee's first two albums, which were more in line with a folk sound. For this new iteration, they went for a more experimental approach, more reminiscent of artists like The Knife or Björk, but with enough identity to stand on their own. Today, they continue to collaborate with some of the music released under the moniker of Jonna Lee. You may know them from their album Blue from 2014, which is to this day their best-known album. But the one I want to recommend is Be Here Soon, released in 2022. This was the group's fourth album, and as usual, it was accompanied by an audiovisual experience. The reason for picking this one is that I think it's perhaps their most vulnerable and intimate record, and one that is more organic in its production. Jonna Lee had this to say about the album. Be Here Soon is a story about meeting memories with new eyes while creating the present. It's about the complexity of becoming a mother as a working artist, about the psychological, emotional, and physical changes this means, and the choice to be open with these changes through my work process of making this audiovisual in relation to myself, my collaborators, and our audience. It's also about living with OCD and reevaluating my work process and the level of sanity of it all, while struggling with motivation in the current music industry climate. One can tell there was a lot that needed to be said, and the album is a testament to their versatility and evolution without ever losing their magic touch. If you're interested in listening to Jonna Lee in her mother tongue, she released her latest album, Close Your Eyes, in Swedish under the name Brun. You will like iamamiwhoami, Jonna Lee, if you like ethereal vocals mixed with immaculate production and complex and original lyrics. Recommended songs from the album are I Tenacious, Changes, and Walking on Air. This is the vinyl edition of the album. It's a special edition that comes in a single jacket. iamamiwhoami always put a lot of care into their physical editions. This bundle included 3 photo prints, a sticker, and a CD-DVD set. It also comes with a full-size booklet with photos from the making-of of the film. The nude color vinyl looks beautiful, and the pressing has great dynamics. It is super quiet and crisp, very well mastered for vinyl. Next up, it's Anne Brun. She's a Norwegian singer-songwriter and producer who has been operating from Sweden for most of her career. She has done 10 albums with a few compilations and live albums added to the mix. Up until a couple of years ago, she had always released music in English. In an interview with the line of Best Fit, she explained why. It's funny because even though English is not my first language, it's the one I work in mostly, and sometimes weird or very vulnerable things come out from my subconscious. In a way, I think singing in English can make what comes out even more honest than singing in Swedish or Norwegian. Brun is also a guitarist, and her first couple of albums reflected this, with most production being scaled back to her guitar and her beautiful voice. But it was on her fourth album that she started introducing different elements to her music, which has always stemmed from personal experiences. Changing of the Seasons was produced by Icelandic producer Valgeir Sigurdsson and marked her breakthrough outside of Sweden, thanks to a cover of Cyndi Lauper's True Colors, which was featured in an advert in the UK and Ireland. Since then, she has continuously incorporated more elements into her music, like strings or electronic sounds, with her album When I'm Free from 2015 really diving into sparse production, mainly inspired by artists such as DJ Shadow or Lamp. You may know her from a gorgeous cover of Beyoncé's Halo featuring Linnea Olsson. I also personally love her cover of Björk's Yoga, which she performed as a tribute at the Polar Music Prize in 2010. But the album I want to recommend is 2020's After the Great Storm. This was part of a double album released 1 month apart with How the Beauty Holds the Hand of Sorrow. I think this is possibly my favorite album from her. It came after a long writer's block, and both albums were heavily influenced by her dad's death. As one could imagine, it deals with existential topics. But there is a lightness to the music and the construction of these songs that turns them into great pop songs. The production on this album is the most adventurous in her career, with influences such as Massive Attack, Portishead, Solange, and James Blake. If you would like to listen to Brun singing in Norwegian, she finally released an album in 2022 called Nærmere, featuring song adaptations from her back catalogue. You will like Brun if you like personal storytelling and velvety voices. Recommended songs are Don't Run and Hide, Take Hold of Me, and Fingerprints. The vinyl edition for the album is pretty simple packaging with a single jacket and a sleeve, including lyrics. It comes in green transparent vinyl. The sound is fine for the most part, although there are some pops in places, and the last song on each side sounds a bit compressed. For the next band, we have to travel to my favorite country, Iceland. The band Björk formed in 2013 and was first heard of at Musiktilraunir, or Music Experiments, an annual music competition held in Reykjavik. When they applied to the competition, they didn't have any songs produced, but by the time it came around, not only did they have some original material, but they also won the competition. They are a self-proclaimed dream pop indie electro band. It was originally formed by 2 members, then 4, and its current iteration is a trio. Their music is inspired by artists such as Eivør, Portishead, and Massive Attack. I actually discovered this band during my first trip to Iceland in 2017. I just went into a record store and browsed the Icelandic artists section. I ended up buying albums by Imbrini Valgeir Sigurdsson, and this one that I'm recommending from Björk called Figure. This was their debut album, and I actually hadn't listened to it in a long time until I was preparing this video. The album has a very atmospheric vibe. There is also a darkness that is juxtaposed by some of the production choices that bring up the lightness. If you'd like to listen to them singing in Icelandic, you will have to go all the way back to their first EP, Tension. You will like them if you like atmospheric and sparse production with a tinge of distortion. Recommended songs are Breaking Bones, BTO, and Crime. The vinyl edition comes in a single jacket. It comes with lyrics on the inner sleeve. The pressing is pretty quiet, and I think it's a good master. The next artist on my list is originally from the Faroe Islands. I'm talking about Eivør. She is such an interesting artist, and she has been a musician for pretty much all her life. Her discography is quite expansive, as she has touched upon different genres like rock, jazz, folk, and electronic music. She actually has deep ties to Iceland, where she studied jazz and classical music. By the time she released her second album, Krákan, she had established herself in the musical scene in the Nordic countries and became the first non-Icelandic artist to win the Best Singer and Best Performer awards at the Icelandic Music Awards in 2003. After this, she moved to Copenhagen and built a career playing in multiple folk festivals, until 2010, when she released her album Larva, a turning point in her career. With this album, she embraced a more electronic sound in what she described as a need to free herself from boxes. She has released music in Faroese, Danish, Norwegian, Swedish, Icelandic, and English. You may know her from soundtracks like Netflix, The Last Kingdom, or the video game God of War. The album that I picked is my favorite from her. Slur was released in both Faroese and English. The album title has different interpretations, and it can mean veils, blurriness, or even from the guts, reflecting themes of identity, home, and the natural world of the Faroe Islands. I actually would recommend the Faroese version. I don't speak Faroese, but her music captivated me in a special way that goes beyond understanding the words. For the album, she went back to her hometown and reconnected both musically and personally with her roots. When discussing her process, she had this to say: "Slur is very much about my roots. I just really wanted to go home, be back in the old environment. There was something exhilarating about being back at the heart of where I came from as a person and an artist, all the while realizing how many things inside me had changed." If you want to listen to her in English, you can listen to the English version of Slur or an earlier album called Room. You will like Eivør if you like ethereal folk music, electronic music mixed with jazz elements and guttural singing. My recommended songs from the album are Petty Firi Petty, Itokoni and Trollebundin. This vinyl edition is printed on what feels to me like recycled matte paper, and it opens on the top. The inside sleeve has a big photo and credits. The record sounds beautiful, super quiet and with good dynamics, super rich bass as well, which is pretty important in some of these tracks. El Perro del Mar, which means the dog of the sea in Spanish, is the musical project of Sara Aspring, originally from Sweden. She released 2 albums as part of the band Sado Baya in the early 2000s before she started to release music under El Perro del Mar. I think she's had a very interesting evolution. Her first album was born after a very low point in her life, and melancholy has always permeated her creations. Her music has always had a sense of sadness, sometimes turned into dread, but her productions tend to have a lot of warmth and catchy pop melodies, inspired by different eras of music, particularly the 50s and 60s for her first few albums. She has slowly introduced new elements with every album, with 2012's Pale Fire being inspired by 90s house and trip-hop, and Kokoro, which was released in 2016 and features a fusion of world sounds, inspired by her listening to Japanese, Chinese, and Cambodian 60s pop. The album I want to recommend is very different in sound from what she has done before. Big Anonymous came out in 2024 and it's a haunting meditation on death, loss, and one's own mortality. She has defined the album as a trip to the underworld. The event that triggered this journey can be traced back to her second album, 2008's From the Valley to the Stars. With that album, she intended to make a transcendental album that was a jubilation about death and life, told through the eyes of her grandfather, who had recently passed away. A week before the album was released, her brother died unexpectedly. She didn't discuss this in interviews or in her music and continued to promote and tour the album, but this traumatic event haunted her for years. On the 10th anniversary of her brother's passing, she released a Swedish song called Broder in his honor. Big Anonymous was built from this creation. One interesting influence in the universe in which this album lives is Jonathan Glazer's great film Under the Skin, as she revealed in an interview with the line of Best Fit. Under the Skin has this aspect of wanting to stare into the absolute abyss, and I really wanted to go there too. I wanted to almost hit people with grief and death, because I feel like there's a real lack of conversation about that in Sweden. I wanted to bring people with me to the underworld to help them understand what that is and what that entails, and then kind of shock them back to life again in a way that makes them thankful for the time they have left. The album was accompanied by a 20-minute film done in collaboration with Nicole Walker and Joseph Cadeau. You will like El Perro del Mar if you like melancholic and reflective lyricism and immersive production. Recommended songs are In Silence, Between You and Me Nothing, and Wipe Me Off This Earth. This vinyl edition is also quite straightforward with a single jacket. The paper of the jacket and the inner sleeve is pretty thick. It also comes with a signed print which was exclusive to the City Slang web store. It's a black vinyl. This one sounds immaculate to me. The next voice on my list is that of Kari Rueslåtten, a Norwegian singer, songwriter, and keyboardist. Kari started her career as part of the doom metal band The Third and the Mortal, that got some notoriety in the mid-90s and is considered to be the precursor of gothic metal with a female leading voice. The band went on to experiment with different sounds, but Kari departed the group after their first album, joining another metal band, Storm, before going solo in 1997. Kari actually rejoined The Third and the Mortal in 2024 for a series of live shows. Between 1997 and 2020, she has released 9 albums. 2 of them, the first and the last, were recorded in Norwegian, with the rest of her discography being recorded in English. Her music has elements of folk, rock, and classical music. In 2002, with the release of her third solo album, Pilot, she pivoted towards a more experimental sound influenced by trip-hop. This was also the first time she produced her own material after spending a few years studying production in London. Pilot and the following album, Other People's Stories from 2005, drew comparisons to Björk. After a long hiatus, she released a comeback album in 2013, returning to her folk roots with a strong focus on songwriting. She then released 3 more albums, with her latest being 2020's Sørgekøpet. This is the album I selected for this video, sung completely in Norwegian for the first time since her debut. She explained the reason behind this decision in an interview in 2020. When I started to develop the material for Sørgekøpet, I quickly realized that it was going to be more personal lyric-wise and music-wise, moving in a more acoustic direction. Melody-wise, I was leaning more towards ethnic tradition of Norwegian folk music. I felt it became more natural to sing in my native language. It's a moody and sometimes atmospheric album that really showcases Kari's beautiful voice. The album has some country and soft rock leading tracks, but I think the songs that really shine are those in which Kari welcomes a more dreamlike state. You will like Kari Rueslåtten if you enjoy getting lost in the melancholy of Nordic folk imagery. My recommended songs are Sørgekøpet, Når mørket faller, and Øye for øye. This vinyl edition was pretty hard to track down. It's a limited bundle to 100 copies that comes in a single jacket with an insert, both with a glossy finish. Also included are a signed print, 3 postcards, a CD and a tote bag. The record is one of the most beautiful I own. The sound is good, although there are pops and clicks in places. And from Kari to Karin from Sweden. No, not this Karin, this one. She's Karin Park and she has one of the most distinctive voices on my list. She's originally from Sweden, but she started her career in Norway in 1995. After studying in the Stockholm Conservatory and briefly sharing school with fellow pop star Robyn, she moved to Bergen looking for better opportunities. At the time, Bergen had a vibrant scene for electronic music that provided the perfect framework for her experimentation. She quickly established herself as someone with a knack for pop melodies. She got a lot of recognition for her first album, Super World Unknown, in Norway, which was nominated for the country's version of the Grammys. After her first 2 albums, which explored a folk pop sound, her music became darker and introduced more electronic elements. She went on to release critically acclaimed albums like High Wire Poetry, in which she collaborated with producer Christopher Björk, better known for his work with The Knife and Fever Ray. You may know her from the Eurovision entry for Norway in 2013, I Feed Your Love, which she co-wrote, produced, and ended up in 4th place in the grand final. 2 years later, she presented her own song, Human Beings, at the Melody Grand Prix, but it wasn't chosen to represent Norway in Eurovision. Karin has continued to experiment with different projects throughout her career, with some deep house and techno collaborations, acting in the Norwegian production of Les Miserables in Oslo, which went on to become the most popular musical in Norway's history, and even an ambient album in collaboration with Lusmort, who is considered a pioneer in the genre. She has also been collaborating with her husband's band Åra Brott for more than 10 years, but some of her boldest career choices came in recent years. After moving into a church in the town where she grew up, she recorded and released Church of Imagination, a sprawling pop album with Baroque elements, including alternative rock, chamber instrumentations, and gospel choirs. The other one is the album I'm recommending here, Private Collection. Normally, I would recommend a studio album rather than a compilation, but Karin's output and musical stylings are so vast that I think this is a good starting point. Private Collection includes 9 reinterpretations from her past catalog and 1 new track. The music is stripped back into a more minimal approach, and yet they feel both more intimate and filled with grandeur. Many of the songs included here were electronic pop songs in their original form, and these adaptations show how strong the source material is and how well it holds up to this more introspective style. I also think it's the album where she is showcasing her incredible voice in its full greatness. If you want to listen to her singing in Swedish, she released her first ever song in 2024, a techno banger with Inelea called Tårar. You will like Karin Park if you enjoy moody passages, gothic feelings, and otherworldly vocals. My recommended songs are Shine, Look What You've Done, and Super World Unknown. Private Collection comes in a single jacket that has a glossy finish on it. This album got a few variants, but I decided to go for this one called the Super World Unknown edition, limited to 200 copies. The inner sleeve includes a photo and credits. But the star is the record itself. Look at it, I'm obsessed with how it looks. It sounds pretty good, but it has some pops throughout, nothing too annoying though. The next artist has been getting a lot of acclaim for her 2025 album Iconoclast. She is the Swedish musician Anna von Hausswolff. Her music heavily features the pipe organ, which she combines with her powerful voice, often used to its fullest. Journalists have described her music in many ways: dark wave, post-metal, art pop, drone, experimental rock, and even funeral pop. In any case, she is a very unique artist who started her music career in 2010 with an EP called Track of Time. She followed it later that year with her debut album Singing from the Grave. The album got her instant recognition in Sweden. The compositions were more piano-driven, positioning her on the singer-songwriter landscape. However, it was her second album, Ceremony, released in 2012, where she began incorporating the elements that continue to be present in her music to this day. With productions that feel heavier and the inclusion of the pipe organ, her music became more dramatic. This could also be considered her breakthrough, as it was released outside of Sweden and got her nominations at the Swedish Grammys and the Nordic Music Prize. She has continued to release critically acclaimed albums like The Miraculous or Dead Magic. A celebrated live artist who often plays in churches around the world, she saw herself in the middle of a controversy in France in 2021. She had to cancel a show in a church in Nantes after fundamentalist Catholic groups asked for a boycott, calling her music satanic and blocking the entrance to the church. Another concert was cancelled in Paris 2 days later due to security concerns. Extra security was also called in for her concerts in Brussels and Den Haag later that month, but the concerts ended up going ahead. Sadly, this was probably the first time a lot of people heard of her, and I'm sure it wasn't a great experience, so I hope it at least brought her some new fans. About this event, she said this in a recent interview: "I can understand the fear of losing your sacred space to something that you feel doesn't necessarily align with it, and I would have liked to explain to them why I was there, what my intention was, and that I have a lot of love and respect for that space. But I felt their anger, and I felt the sort of belief that makes you see the world in black and white. There is no room for conversation anymore." You may know her from recent collaborations with Ethel Cain and Iggy Pop, both included in her album Iconoclasts. I love all her albums, but I would like to recommend her second one, Ceremony. This one is special to me as it's the one I discovered her with, and it includes one of my favorite songs, Mountain's Grave. It is an ambitious album with grief at its core. After losing her grandfather, she decided to write songs about death and what it does to us. But despite this heavy topic, the songs carry some light with them. More than death as an impending reality surrounding us, she focused on its transformative qualities and the life that emanates from losing someone you love. You will like her music if you enjoy expansive experimental pieces mixed with gothic and atmospheric pop. Recommended songs are Mountain's Grave, Liturgy of Lights, and Funeral for My Future Children. This edition was a repress from 2020 and it comes in a glossy gatefold. Sadly, no inserts or inner sleeves, but it does come in 2 discs. I have to say I'm not a big fan of the master of this record. I think it sounds a bit lifeless in a lot of parts, but this has nothing on the pressing itself, which not only looks pretty, but also sounds pretty quiet, and it sounds really good in a couple of songs in which the master is a bit more alive. Back in Norway, we find Rebekka Karijord, although she is based in Stockholm. She is a multidisciplinary artist with works as an actress, playwright, composer, and musician who has scored more than 40 films, theater productions, and dance pieces. She has released a bunch of albums where she explores introspective themes and a lot of vocal experimentations. She's been a musician since her childhood, initially learning to play piano and violin. At age 12, she began performing in film and television for Norway's national broadcaster, NRK. She went on to study at the Norwegian Academy of Music and Theatre in Oslo and the Stockholm Academy of Dramatic Arts. Her first album, Neophyte, was released in 2003, but what could be considered her breakthrough would come with 2009's The Noble Art of Letting Go, a minimal record with mainly piano-led tracks. She continued with the release of the chamber pop album, We Become Ourselves, in 2012, as well as her work for film and theatre. Her latest album to date, 2025's The Bell Tower, is a collaboration with Roomful of Teeth, and it's a sonic exploration of the human voice, a very captivating and immersive project. You may know her from soundtracks for the documentaries I Am Greta or Songs of Earth. The album I have picked is 2017's Mother Tongue. It was inspired by the traumatic premature birth of her daughter. Other themes interwoven are legacy and womanhood. I find this album very touching and an emotional journey, enhanced by her beautiful voice, which has always had a vulnerable quality to it. The closing track, Mausoleum, is a voice-only song that makes me really emotional and that I feel represents this body of work well. This is how she defined this particular song. This one was written after a conversation with my late grandmother about her youth, her dreams and her reality, raising 5 kids and working full-time. The song is for all the women before us and the sacrifices they made in order for us to have the freedom we have today. We improvised the arrangement live in studio with me, Marian Valentin, Linnea Olsson and Nina Kinnert, who all have some sort of earthy, grounded timbre in their voices that I felt suited the song. It felt right to end this musical journey with a reflection around womanhood and feminism. You will like Rebekka's music if you like experimentation around the human voice as a musical instrument and cinematic passages to get lost in. I recommend the songs The Orbit, Mother Tongue and Mausoleum. This is the original black pressing from 2017. The photo on the cover has a glossy foil over it, which I think is a nice touch. It's a pretty thick paper in both the jacket and the inner sleeve, which includes a photo, lyrics, and the credits. The pressing is mostly quiet, although the volume is a bit low. I think the sound is decent, but I think it could shine more in a 2-disc set. The last artist on my list is from Iceland, and she's one of my all-time favorites, Emilíana Torrini. If you're wondering why her name doesn't sound that Icelandic, it's because she was born to an Italian father and an Icelandic mother. She joined a local choir at age 7 and went on to study opera. Her first recorded vocals date back to 1994 as she was the main voice in the band Spoon's self-titled album. Her first solo album, Crucie Dula, came out 1 year later, mainly featuring rock, blues and soul covers. She had originally asked the producer from Spoon to help her record a few covers for her dad's 50th birthday. He encouraged her to record more covers and self-release them. To their shock, it became a #1 album in Iceland. Merman followed, which included a mix of covers and original compositions. She has since disowned both records. Her first real opportunity to take her music outside of Iceland came when the owner of One Little Independent Records discovered her singing at a concert in Iceland and invited her to go to London to develop her career. She ended up moving there, and a year later, Love in the Time of Science was released. This was a completely different sound, positioning her in a trip-hop electronic lane. One of the things I love the most about her is that she has experimented with a lot of different genres, and a lot of these opportunities often came out of coincidences or unexpected events. You may know her from Gollum's song from The Lord of the Rings. She mentioned in a recent interview that they picked her to record a demo as they wanted to use a famous voice after Björk turned it down. In the session, they loved her performance so much that they ended up using her version, and the rest is history. Or perhaps you've heard of a certain smash hit called Slow by Kylie Minogue. She co-wrote and co-produced it. In 2005, she released Fisherman's Woman, my personal favorite, which gathered critical acclaim, and she had a big success with her 2008 release, Me and Harmony. This album included Jungle Drum, which was used in the insanely popular Germany's Next Top Model TV show. The song was also used in a campaign issued by the government of Iceland. Jungle Drum, alongside 2 other songs from her, also appeared in the TV shows 90210 and Grey's Anatomy, giving Emilíana worldwide recognition. She was not that interested in everything that came with it and the pressure from the industry to replicate the song's success. So she took a step back and waited 5 years to release her next album, Tuka. She spent the next years touring and collaborating with different artists, one of which was Belgian ensemble, the Colorist Orchestra. She toured with them extensively, and this collaboration culminated in a collaborative album called Racing the Storm in 2023. Which brings us to today and the album I want to recommend, Miss Flower from 2024. After a 30-year career in which she has experimented with every genre under the sun, she surprised us again with a concept album, the first in her career. The album is based on a box of letters written to her friend's mother, Geraldine Flower, by the many men who fell in love with her. After her passing, Emilíana and Miss Flower's daughter found this box full of letters directed at her. She went on to write a record based on these letters as a tribute to the adventurous life of Geraldine Flower. Discussing the record, Emilíana said, Miss Flower lived adventurously and on her terms. She led with something other than marriage and convention, a fearless loyalty to her truth. She had 9 proposals and never married. Men were obsessed with her, and some letters are of that heartbreak, some of great lust, some reference espionage and secret meetings, and others are very humorous. In what marked a first in her career, she expanded the world of Miss Flower into a film that features people like Nick Cave or Richard Ayoade. I haven't had the chance to watch it yet, but I hope I can catch it soon. If you want to listen to her singing in Icelandic, you will have to go outside of her studio albums, but she does have a handful of solo tracks and collaborations. You will like Emilíana's music if you enjoy soothing voices and elegant and minimal arrangements. My recommended songs are Dreamers, Miss Flower, and The Golden Thread. This is the signed edition that was sold by JPC in Germany. It comes in a single jacket and the inner sleeve includes lyrics. The vinyl is red and the sound is really good. Amazing dynamics throughout and really quiet. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Perhaps you knew them all, or none, or some. I have shared in the description a YouTube playlist including songs from the artists that I have included in this video. I hope you find something you like. And you can let me know in the comments what your favorite Nordic artists are. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Músík þitt raunir.
Músík þitt raunir.
Músík þitt raunir.
Músík þitt raunir. The band Björk firm... Krahan? Krahan. Okay.
Krákan.
Solange and Blaine Shake. First, the band Björk first. Tröllabundin. Når mørket faller.
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 Når mørket faller. I'm gonna say it right the next time. The band Björk. And Einar Robyn Stefansson on guitar and bass.
Kari Rueslåtten.
Kari Rueslåtten. It was okay, no?